Okay, thank you very much. And I want to just say good evening to everybody who's come on board, and just to thank Gavin and Viv, and to say welcome back, Gavin. And we are happy to see and hear that you are well on your way to recovery. So I'm continuing on the transformed working life. And of course, last week we did introduce what we're going to be talking about. And particularly today, we're looking at call to work. We introduced the whole module last week. So today we'll be taking you through what we mean by call to work. My starting point, there are some slides that I will keep as basics, because I just feel it's so important for us to just have to hear them over and over again, particularly as they connect to the gig message, so that we get to a point where they really become a part of us, because we are a community. So one of my departure points is really chapter 4 of Legacy. This is where we talk about the 4 S's of gig, from struggle to stability, to success to significance. In particular, the portion that speaks about struggle, income less expenses, the minus, and one of the solutions that we provide there in that book. Well, I say we because I see myself as part of the process now, even though I didn't really write the book per se. But the first solution that we provide there is that improve yourself. And for me, like I said, that's a departure point, because it was a turning point for me, because I realized and recognized that I am actually an income producing resource. So I won't stay long onto these 2 slides, because Jasper has given the foundation. But again, these are the slides that I intentionally keep going over, because they form the foundation of who we are as a gig community. Legacy as the house is a blueprint for us who want to build for our families for generations to come. The foundation of wisdom and philosophy, we're talking about that you better make sure that whatever you're building on is actually something that does stand the test of time. Now, the gig message is based on biblical foundations. And I want to say there's a difference, not religious foundations, biblical foundations. And there's a huge difference between the two. And of course, worth and purpose speaks to the fact that we are connected and we are created by a very living, dynamic being who gave us a purpose and a call. Hence, we then talk about the transformed working life. The 2 books that I want to recommend to you, the one on the left is part of our tool as gig, which is obviously written by Jasper. And then I want to also recommend one by Os Hillman, which is the 9 to 5 window. Highly recommend both these books for those of you who want to read further, because part of what we encourage each other in the gig journey is to expand our reading, because we cannot get beyond how we think. We are who we think at the end of the day. And that's one of the best ways that we can do, is to actually just, expand the muscle of our thoughts by reading. So last week I told you what is the purpose of what we're going to be talking about today. We want to discover that the Creator has created us and equipped us with all the resources that we need to work effectively and efficiently, to explore that work is a high calling, and to understand that our Creator does help us in our work. And today I want to share a testimony at the end of what I want to say. I want to read a quote by Os Hillman. This is from the 9 to 5 window, the book that I've recommended. And this is what he says. We have wrongly equated ministry to what takes place inside the 4 walls of the local church. We have failed to affirm the worker at IBM, the clerk at Walmart, the nurse at the hospital, or the 6th grade teacher at the elementary school. We have failed to affirm that the work they do 5 days a week is as important as any ministry they do within the 4 walls of their local congregation. So today, as Jasper had said, the topics that we are looking at is call to work, and we will be looking at the component that work is part of our worship. All right, so let's just look at these next 2 slides that speaks about this. Moses, who is the one who actually wrote the Torah in the very first book, Genesis, it introduces us to a very interesting statement for me. In the beginning, God created. And right there in that sentence, we are introduced to work right in the beginning. To create is to bring something into existence. To work is to create. and to create is to work. And it is important for us to understand and realize that as we do our day-to-day work, we are actually creating something, bringing something into existence. The very fact that we are able to connect. I mean, I heard that there are people that are even outside of Gauteng who have connected today. The fact that we are able to have this meeting and connect in such a manner is because somebody came up with an idea and somebody created the platform that we are using now, which is actually benefiting us and helping us to be more effective and efficient in the activities that we are pursuing. The Lord Jesus Christ himself said, "My Father is always at his work to this day, and I too am working." And I guess if the Father is working and the Son is working, then the creatures are also working to create as well. What is work? One of the definitions I found of work is actually from the Hebrew word avoda. And avoda means work, avoda means worship, avoda means service. So when we work, we are not just working to earn a salary per se, we're not just working to pass time, but it is actually worship. It is actually also service. It is worship to the Creator who's created us. It is service to fellow men. As I made an example about the platform that we are now using, which is actually of service and of benefit to us. The original traditional sense, avoda, applied to sacrifices in the temple in Jerusalem. So work involves sacrifice. Sacrifice involves work. So there is times that we actually have to sacrifice for the work that we do to see the end results of what we are pursuing. If I use the example that Viv has used, this dream that we might have, or someone wants to, own property overlooking the beach, that takes sacrifice to actually get to that point of realizing the end result of that work. So I wanted to end today with really just sharing a testimony that for me best exemplified how when our mind shifts from seeing work as just a day-to-day activity, but to a place where we actually see work as part of worship, to a place where we can see work as an expression of those abilities and gifts and talents that have been given to us by our Creator to express and to create, and how that actually has an impact in what we do. So the particular testimony, I've got many testimonies like this in my working life, but the one that for me best exemplified what I shared today happened when I was working at the fresh produce market. So I joined the fresh produce market and I joined the procurement department. I didn't have qualifications in procurement. I actually didn't even have experience in procurement. It was just one of those places where you end up. I don't even know how they got my CV to get there in the first place. But when I got into the Joburg fresh produce market, I was thrown into baptism by fire because my boss was a political deployee. And he actually, just like me, was quite clueless with his work, and he just didn't show like he had any interest to know about the work. And so the first month of coming into work, my baptism by fire came through an email that I was sent by my boss that said, "I need you to submit to me a BE report by tomorrow at 12 o'clock. I didn't even know what a BE report was, guys, when I started. I didn't even know what it was. I mean, I came from an industrial background, now coming into Joburg Fresh Produce Market, which actually is an entity of the city of Johannesburg. And as part of that, obviously, they did accounts to the shareholder unit, which is the city of Johannesburg, and the Section 79. So being exposed to local government, municipality, and all the politics that come with that. And what I also didn't know is I saw this email, because then I thought, okay, maybe I could work on this, maybe spend an extra hour in the day to get this together. What I didn't know was that actually we didn't have a system at the time that generated the numbers every month that would give us a full spread of the Black economic empowerment per month, and then take that up from a quarterly point of view. And I actually found out that this was 6 months. 6 months of work that was not done. So 6 months of these monthly spreadsheets that were not collated together, that were not, that were actually, they were just not ready. And I was sitting there not knowing what to do. But I remember in my heart, because I've always had this sense and this desire to say, if I claim that I serve a God who is powerful, and I, one of the scriptures I believe in is that I can do all things through Christ who gives me the ability. So it would have been really a contradiction for me to believe that and not, rise up to the occasion. But long story short, I was told that no one would be able to help me, and that in fact there was a lady who knew how to do the work, but good luck with her, because she was not the kind of person who would be helpful. So I went into into the ladies' room. I actually prayed. I said, you know what, Lord, I cannot, I cannot embarrass you here. I'm standing here. I don't know where these people stand with regards to their relationship with you, but I have a relationship with you, and I cannot fail, and I will not fail in delivering this work. But long story short, I came back. I went to the lady. I thought the worst thing I can lose is my ego. I mean, maybe that's the best thing I should lose anyway. And I went and I asked her. And to my surprise, she actually helped me. We left work after midnight with this lady whom I was told is never helpful. She's not going to help you. Good luck with her. And she stayed with me, and we stayed right up until after midnight to get this document working. And we submitted it tomorrow. We were late. We didn't submit it at the time that it was requested, but we submitted it on the day, and we were up to date. And I remember when I went to bed at night, again, thanking God about this. And I had an idea to say, you know what? Just go and find out when are these meetings happening, so that you are able to, preempt any email that comes against that you're not thrown in the fire. But be that as it may, this for me remains in this day as one of the greatest testimonies of what happens when you actually trust the Father and trust God to show you and to help you with your day-to-day work. And He will show you that, and He will give you the practical skills, and He will open the hearts of the people to help you in your work. So I wrote there, as I conclude, what the prophet Isaiah says, which actually just ties into this conclusion. He says, listen to me. This is in Isaiah 28. Listen to me. Listen and pay close attention. The farmer knows just what to do, for God instructs and teaches him appropriately. The Lord of hosts is a wonderful teacher, wonderful in counsel and excellent in wisdom. So what I've put there is just reflections. We're not going to go over them, obviously, today because the time is short. But these are the reflections that you can look at, because we are going to have a session when we are done with Call to Work. We are going to have a session where we all actually just reflect on what we have heard, of what we have received. So those are the questions that I'd like you to think about. Do you know your primary calling? In light of this topic, how do you view your work? Why do you work, and who do you work for? How do you think God, our Creator, views the realm of business, commerce, and industry? Is He interested at all? Is it a bad thing to make a lot of money? How have you seen God help you at work? And remember that miracles, more often than not, take place in everyday routine situations. I'm going to end there tonight. Thank you.